For June 28th, 2021. Could you please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance with me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, folks. You're going to be seated. It's great to see the room crowded again. First item on the agenda is 174, appointments to the police department. Deputy Chief Brown and Chief Kent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have two officers to be appointed tonight. The first one will be Officer Christopher Kelly.
There he is.
Chris comes to us from the island of Nantucket PD, where he's been a full-time officer since December 2013. He served as a reserve officer there for a year prior to gaining full-time employment. His most recent assignment was as a detective since 2018, and he was also a member of their SWAT team in the Nantucket Police Honor Guard. While in Nantucket, he was the recipient of the Public Safety Service Award in 2019, which recognized Chris for his highly creditable accomplishments that brought credit onto the department. He was also the recipient of a life-saving award. He was also nominated for the George L. Hanna Award in 2015, which anybody in law enforcement knows that comes with very high praise. Mr. Kelly grew up in Watertown. He is the son of Robert and Cheryl Kelly and the brother of Erica and Lauren Kelly. Graduated from Watertown High School in 2008. He then received his Bachelor of Science from UMass Lowell in CJ, where he graduated summa cum laude and was also awarded the Criminal Justice Outstanding Student Award. He graduated from the Boylston Police Academy in 2013, and I will note he scored very high in our entrance exam. He was in the top 4 or 5. With that, I am pleased to recommend Mr. Christopher Kelly for appointment as a police officer to the Burlington Police Department.
Thank you, Deputy. Mr. Severino.
With the chief's recommendation, I appoint Christopher J. Kelly to the position of patrolman in the Burlington Police Department and ask that the board waive its 15-day waiting period.
So moved. Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? 500. Welcome aboard, Chris.
Thank you.
Deputy.
Mr. Chairman, next we have Officer Brian Rickey. Brian comes to us from our neighbor over at Bedford PD, where he has served as a full-time officer since graduating the Lowell Police Academy in 2019. He currently works in patrol. He's a certified EMT and has been so since 2016. I will say I had the pleasure of being one of Brian's instructors at the police academy, and this past week when I was there, the staff commented about his overall character and ability, reinforcing the fact that we're hiring a great officer with the necessary character to keep Burlington at the top of the profession. While in the academy, he received the Physical Training Award for the highest PT scores, and he was voted the outstanding student officer for his entire class. Prior to being a police officer, Brian worked as an electrician assistant and also an EMT, a line worker's assistant, and a construction laborer. He grew up in Bedford. He is the son of Thomas and Deborah Rickey, and he has a sister, Emily Rickey. He also has his girlfriend, Becky, here with him tonight. He is a graduate of Bedford High School, class of 2014. He has a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice from UMass Lowell. And he is also currently working towards his Master of Arts in Homeland Defense at UMass Lowell, and he expects to graduate in May of 2022. I would therefore like to recommend Mr. Brian Rickey for appointment to the position of police officer with the Burlington Police Department.
Thank you, Deputy. Mr. Severino.
With the chief's recommendation, I appoint Brian E. Rickey to the position of patrolman in the Burlington Police Department and ask that the board waive its 15-day waiting period.
So made. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500. Welcome aboard, Brian. It's always great when Burlington can
get someone that's trained and experienced and then brought into our town. And that's no different than our departing chief, Chief Kent. We stole him from Amherst, and we think we got the better of the deal there, and this will be Chief Kent's last select board meeting. So I'd like to ask the board if they have any parting shots, so to speak, to Chief Kent, or well wishes, if you so desire. I'll start on this end, Mr. Runyon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Chief. No parting shots from me, nothing but kind words, and you know, you had some amazing accomplishments over the 11 years you were with us, and I'm sure Chief Brown is going to continue on that path, and I wish you nothing but the best in your retirement. Thank you so much.
Mr. Morandi?
Thank you. I didn't know we were gonna do this tonight, otherwise I would have wrote a speech for you.
That's why I didn't tell you.
All I can say is thank you. Truly, the department is a better place since you've been here. The guys that we have now are so much more accountable for what was going on. You've done an incredible job with this department. Our new chief-to-be has come up the ladder, following your lead. I can't say enough nice things about you. Outside of here, outside of the police department, I still can't say enough things about you that are great. So I just want to say thank you for everything you've done for the town of Burlington. You will truly be missed, but you will never be forgotten in this town. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you very much.
Nick?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. How can I follow that?
You can't.
I can't. I'll try. No, Chief, you know, for the past 11 years, I've heard nothing but, you know, good things from the department, from the residents, from everyone I've spoken with. And I know every interaction that we've had, despite you calling me Chris about every single time, it's been nothing but great. And you've been welcoming to me, and kind to me and my family. And I thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for being a wonderful person and a fantastic chief of police of this town.
Mr. Hogan?
Chief, I've told you more than a few times how honored I am to have served with you during these same 11 years. The things that you've done, if you chose to write a book for the training academies, it would be a bestseller, because the things you've done here, if translated across the state and across the country, would make us all a much better place. So thank you for being here, and good luck.
Thank you, Mr. Hogan. Chief, what can I say? I'm always a firm believer in the snapshot theory. If you take a snapshot of what the police department was like before Chief Kent got here, and you take a snapshot today, you would see a completely new department, a completely new mindset. Through his efforts, we've become, and we, meaning the town, Burlington Police Department, has become one of the most well-respected, well-trained, and professional police departments and diverse departments in this, not only in this area, but in this state. Again, it was all, you were the leader. You're the one that took it and ran with it. I do have one quick question, though. Are you still gonna get up at 4:30 every morning, or?
Well, I'm not gonna have a log to read, so.
Chief, I can't thank you enough, both working, I tell people I used to work for you. No, I worked with you. We worked together for 10 years, but it was never felt like working with you, for you. I've always felt like I was working with you. So again, congratulations, enjoy retirement. It is as good as they say it is. Thank you, Chief. And I know how much you love that, so. Okay, that it, Deputy?
Promotion, sir.
Oh, all right. Oh, that's right. Gotcha. All right, only kid. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the board is aware, I was here on June 14th to give you an update on the process for the deputy chief's selection process. On June 22nd, we conducted the interview panel and the resume review. We had an outside chief, Joseph O'Connor from the Concord Police Department, who was selected and conducted the interviews along with myself, Town Administrator Sagarino, Assistant Town Administrator John Denizio. And the panel was obviously impressed with both candidates, but the process bore out. and Captain Robert Kirshner is the selection coming out of that process. And obviously, it's a difficult choice when you have to pick between two qualified candidates. Captain Kirshner began his career in 1989 as a patrol officer. While serving in patrol, he was a certified speed enforcement instructor. I remember taking his class way back when. And he was also a member of the community policing unit. He was then promoted to sergeant in 2002 and served on the midnight and 4 to 12 shifts before being assigned to supervise the drug unit from 2007 through 2008. He was also the traffic sergeant on a part-time basis from 2004 through 07. And he has also been in charge of maintaining the sex offender registry for Burlington registrants. He was then promoted to lieutenant in 2011, where he served as the officer in charge across all 3 shifts until 2014, when he was assigned to an administrative lieutenant position, handling OIC duties 2 nights a week, and then support services duties on 2-day shifts. He was in charge of community services, fleet maintenance, the sex offender registry, licensing and permitting, and also the traffic division. In 2018, he was promoted to captain, and he has been in charge of overseeing the Operations Bureau of the department on a full-time basis since then. The operational components under his command include patrol, detectives, traffic, and some of the support services, such as, again, the Sex Offender Registry Board, and he assists with accreditation, recruiting and hiring, and scheduling. Captain Kirshner grew up in Burlington. He graduated Burlington High School in 1983, then moved on to the Middlesex Community College for his associate's degree in business management, and then got his bachelor's in 2000 from Suffolk University. He now has a master's in criminal justice from Western New England, and he is also a graduate of PERF's Senior Management Institute for Police, which he completed in 2016. Probably one of the most important and well-recognized attributes that I think we can all agree on is that he brings to the position his popularity amongst the community and also within the department. As Chief Kent has told you many times, Captain Kirshner cares about everyone in the department and will continue to be a great asset in all areas of personnel management. Captain Kirshner is married to his wife, Jen. They have 2 school-age boys, Corey and Cooper, who are here tonight, and an adult son, Sean. Based on everything that's before you, I'm happy to recommend Captain Robert Kirshner for promotion to the position of Deputy Chief of Police as it becomes vacant with Chief Kent's retirement.
Thank you, Deputy. Mr. Sagarino.
And with the chief's recommendation, I appoint Robert Kirchner to the position of Deputy Police Chief in the Burlington Police Department and ask that the board waive its 15-day waiting period.
And it is with a great honor and respect that I make that motion.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Congratulations. All right. Good?
Yeah, sure.
Pictures with the board?
Yeah? Oh, sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You gotta do something here and that.
Up here?
Yeah.
All right, we'll come around
Do
front.
we get to say anything? I got some stories. They're all right here.
Save them for the barber shop. Are we gonna stay here? Yeah, you guys wanna stay, we wanna stay back here?
Doesn't matter. We get right in there. The virus is over. Let's go.
We're out of practice.
Let's get
You wanna
in
go
there.
big?
Yeah, virus is over. Virus is over. Let's go.
Let's play musical chair.
What's that do?
Go, Corey. We gotta make a whole thing about it. Here's the deed.
In addition.
Awesome.
Is that correct or incorrect?
get a stool? Yeah, can I get a stool, please?
Absolutely. Sorry, Lynn.
Just updating because it should be July 24th on here somewhere. It said 20.
Bob, you got that?
It was July of 20.
Bob's gonna do the motion.
Iron basketball.
Last time I didn't, my friend. Last time I didn't. What else did?
Lynn, was it a date issue with that?
Yes.
There was a date issue with it, Bob, so that's the new. There was a date issue, an error. So that's why the new. He's gotta read it, that's fine.
Oh, so here it says 2020, July 1, 2020. You just cross it out.
Read the rest.
Wait.
All right, all set?
Thank you.
Thank you,
All right,
guys.
thank you. All right, thank you all for coming out. It's really good to see that, the sign of support, support when we do hirings and promotions. So, thank you.
Give him a couple minutes, right? We'll give him a couple minutes to clear the room.
Yeah, Paul, just give him a minute to clear. Yeah. All right, Mr. Sagarino, you ready?
Ready?
Okay. Item number 175, appointments to boards and committees. So we have a group of appointments that we can make as a whole. I know I have to abstain from 2 of them, but I'll just need someone to make a motion that we vote all of them together. Unless you have an issue with one of them, we can take that one separately. Does that sound right, or?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if we can do them in 2 different batches, we have select board appointments as well as town administrator appointments, so.
Okay,
The first batch is select board committees, and we have the audit committee and the zoning board of appeals. We also have the zoning bylaw review committee, but we're holding off on that one till the next meeting.
okay.
One question. Are these names posted anywhere so that people know who are on these committees?
Yeah, Amy has all this stuff up on the website. There's a section called Town Committees Elected and Appointed. So all this information is listed on the website.
All right, so,
So for the Select Board, we have two committees, Audit Committee and Zoning Board of Appeals.
okay, one of those boards I have to abstain from, so I guess we'll have to take 2 votes on that?
Yes.
All right, so, Audit Committee, any discussion on that, or do we want to vote on it?
Yeah, quick question. Do we, or does the audit committee announce and advertise for the open position?
We would handle that for them.
So we'll make note that there is an opening on the audit committee. So we're making appointments, but there is one opening, so the public should know that. I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman, for the audit committee, that the names presented to us, vote to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Hogan. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Morandi. All those in favor of approving the Audit Committee? Aye. Opposed, abstained, 5-0-0. Okay, Zoning Board of Appeals.
I will make the appointments, I will make the recommendation that we vote to approve the appointments that are listed on this list presented to us.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained, aye. 4-0-1. Okay, Mr. Sagarino, Town Administrator appointments.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the Town Administrator appointments, we have the Beautification Committee, the Board of Registrars, Cemetery Oversight Committee, Conservation Commission, Cultural Council, Disability Access Commission, the DPW Recreation Building Committee, and the Historical Commission for tonight.
The other 2 are postponed.
The
Out,
oth-
the other
we
2
have-
are out.
We have a couple that are postponed to a future meeting.
So, I know I have to abstain from Disability Access Commission. Are there any abstentions with the Town Administrator's appointments?
I just have one quick question, Mr. Chairman, if
Yes,
I may.
absolutely.
Cemetery Overrides Committee, I've been on that committee, and I don't see it down here, so I don't know if it's an oversight or,
You don't expire until 22.
This is the 2021 expiration. All right, any other issues or objections with these lists, other than disability access? Because we'll take disability access separate, and we're gonna vote on beautification, Board of Registrars, Cemetery Oversight, Conservation Commission, Cultural Council, DPW Recreation Building Committee, and Historical Commission, all as a group.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
With the DPW rec building coming to its opening, will that committee need to continue to stand, or
I believe with Phase 2 it would, right?
with phase
Yeah, we
two?
still have a phase 2. So once the building is all wrapped up and complete, we dissolve those committees, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so do I have any motion to approve those committees as a whole? Oh,
These are your appointments, right?
we have to approve them though, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So you want me to make the
Make the
official?
motion and then we'll vote to concur or whatever.
I'd like to ask the board, I wish to appoint the following members as per the attached list in your backup for the following committees: Beautification, Board of Registrars, Cemetery Oversight, Conservation Commission, Cultural Council, DPW Recreation Building Committee, and Historical Commission, and ask the board waive its 15-day waiting period.
do I have that motion? Mr. Hogan, seconded by Mr. Morandi. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 5-0-0.
Jim,
Yep,
one
I'm sorry.
comment if I may on that?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay, let me just say that, that's quite an extensive list, and I want to thank the staff for the amount of time they put into compiling the list and keeping track of all these folks that we have. I know I've had a number of back and forths with Betty and Lynn over the years, so thank you for the time you put in keeping us in order with who's on these other committees. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And Mr. Chairman, may
Yes,
I? make
absolutely.
note, there are a couple of openings on this list also. Beautification has 2 openings, and the Historical Commission has an opening, so if people are interested in participating, call the office and get that form to fill out, and be glad to consider. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hogan. Okay, there's a motion made to approve all these committees as a group. Motion is made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, 5-0-0. Disability access.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wish to appoint the members to the Disability Access Commission as per the attached list and ask that the board waive its 15-day waiting period.
Any second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, aye, 401. Thank you, Mr. Sagarino. Mr. Sanchez? This is an update on the water.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to take a few minutes to go over our last water emergency we had, and I have a few notes that I've taken just so I won't miss anything. So basically, that happened, I believe, since the last Board of Selectmen's meeting we had had, so to bring everybody up to speed. On Wednesday, June 16th, we collected our routine weekly samples for coliform and sent them out for analysis to a contracted lab that we've been using for decades. The following day, Thursday, June 17th, we were informed that 10 out of the 13 samples have tested positive for total coliform, and 3 also tested positive for E. coli. So at that point, we notified DEP, and Mass DEP soon after issued a boil water order for the town of Burlington. Once the boil water order was issued, we notified all water users via social media, Facebook, online, the press, reverse 911, every media that we had available at the time was utilized to actually reach out to our customers. On Friday, June 18th, the following morning, an emergency meeting was held with the town administrator, police chief, fire chief, and deputy chief, as well as the Board of Health director to go over the water emergency. We went over the facts that had happened so far and the steps that we're going to take going forward. So I'm grateful to have that meeting and the participation of everybody who I mentioned earlier. Subsequent to that, we actually went with the help of the police department and we inspected the 3 tanks just to make sure that there were no signs of intrusion in any of the tanks for any possible access of animals or others that would cause a bacteria problem. At the same time, we collected 37 new samples from all sites around town, including the original sites, plus upstream and downstream. These samples were taken to the MWRA lab for analysis, because we wanted to totally separate the issues that we had and make sure that we have totally independent systems, like checks and balances, if you may. So those 37 samples, it takes about 24 hours to get the results, and we actually got them on Saturday afternoon, Saturday, June 19th. And all 37 samples were absent of bacteria. After notifying the DEP and getting copies of those results, Mass DEP lifted the boil water order, which it took less than 48 hours since it was originally issued to us. During Friday, that holiday, and Saturday as well, DPW personnel responded to calls from residents and businesses. We actually had people answering the phones during those 2 days. And following that, the town hired Haley Ward Engineering Consultants to conduct an independent Level 2 assessment as required by DEP, just to see if they're able to find the possible causes to this and to provide us with an opinion to it, as well as providing DEP with an opinion of what might it cost this water emergency. As soon as we get the findings, we'll be sharing those with everyone. So the information we have right now is the same as we did before. We have nothing else to report other than we will be conducting that investigation via a third-party company. Once again, I'd like to apologize for the inconvenience we caused to all our residents as well as the businesses during those 48 hours. And also I'd like to thank the police, fire, Board of Health, and everybody who helped us during this water emergency that we had last week. So I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. I know we want to discuss another item too, but we'll hold off on that. The other leaf pickup?
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, anybody have any questions regarding this water issue, past water issue? No? No?
Just one question.
Nick?
John, do we know when the independent investigation might be wrapped up?
So we need to do this over the next couple of weeks. We're tying the certain reports that have to be given to DEP. As we said before, we're very regulated, so we can't have it open-ended. So I believe we have probably like 2 weeks to complete it. and we are working on it as we speak right now.
Okay, great, thank you.
Joe?
Yeah, just real quick, John, I want to say thank you to you and your staff, to the town of Burlington, Ms. Sagarino, Denizio, Police Department, Fire Department, for getting that job done as fast as possible. I don't know how to go about saying things, but I just want to tell you that you did a fantastic job with this. The residents were a little bit much for me on the Facebook aspect of life. I was going to save this for my report tonight, but I just couldn't do it. So if the residents are listening, please be a little bit nicer until you get all the facts. Some of the stuff that was said was totally uncalled for. I just want to commend you and your staff for what you did. I will never respond to a Facebook post that people put out there, but please, at least get your facts out straight, because this man sitting here and his staff did an outstanding job to get this situation resolved. So I want to say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moretti. Bob?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you also to you and the entire department. I want to add the Board of Health in there also. They've been a busy department in the last year and a half, and everyone works so well together. So thank you, John, seriously, and the department for all that you've done.
Thank you, Mr. Hogan. John, I just want to follow up quickly on something that Mr. Morandi mentioned, and just correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the town got a report or a claim that there was a local health gym, health facility that had 150 cases of people getting sick from E. coli. The town investigated it, and it was completely false. Is that correct?
That's correct. That was soon after actually our emergency meeting that was investigated, and it proved to be not a fact.
So, again, just following up on what Mr. Randy said, please, if you're gonna discuss this, make it factual and no innuendos, because it's tough enough to go through something like this, and then when you have all these little tangents thrown at you, it just makes it that much more difficult to address and try to resolve when you're getting distracted by claims. I know that the town had to investigate that. They had to investigate a claim of E. coli to health facility, a gym, and that took away from trying to resolve other issues. So that's why I asked, please be factual and cooperate and not be so, like Joe said, be so antagonistic. All right, real quick, I was gonna ask if anybody watching the meeting had a question, or we'll do this briefly because we have a big agenda. Anybody out there in the public have anything regarding the water, the E. coli situation? We seeing anything?
We don't, no hands, Mr. Chairman.
All right. All right, Mr. Sanchez, thank you for that update. Leaf update. I believe we wanted to,
So I did, I don't know if, Joe, you'd like to do that as part of your,
I was going to do it as part, but whatever's more convenient.
well, I just figured while John was here, so.
so.
I'll take care of it later if you like,
Take care
or
of
we
it?
can do it now, whatever you
Well,
want.
let's
So
do it
the-
now in case there are any questions, I guess, or.
Okay, so we're having an issue with the leaf pickup as of right now. Conversation myself, Mr. Sanchez had earlier today. Republic and a lot of the other companies out there are having a very hard time finding drivers. So one town will have 3 drivers one week and 5 the next week, and 2 one week and none the next week. So Mr. Sanchez has been on the phone a number of times with Republic to resolve the situation, but until we get drivers, we're kind of stuck. Your leave bags might be out there for a week or 2 weeks. The only thing I can suggest is to try to cover them before bags dissolve. I don't know what else we can really do about it. I know that they're offering money to come to work for them.
Signing bonuses.
Signing bonuses to come to work for them. So the CDL guys just aren't coming to work because I can finally tell them they might be making more money when they're not working. So, anything you can add to that, or?
So the one, no, you're right on target with it. The issue with the CDL drivers, and obviously that's sort of what we do in my part of the business now. This is a crisis that has been growing over the years, as less, obviously, people are going through that type of work. So major companies right now are having the same problem, and a lot of them are actually offering signing bonuses as well, because there's just not enough drivers out there. Republic is trying, like I said, they are offering those signings and bonuses. They're also offering bonuses to the employees who will bring another employee to work for them. Of course, none of that is helping us, am I right? So we still have leaves out there for needs to get picked up. But we just want people to understand that the priority is to pick up the trash, and leaves are not as high as a priority, and unfortunately, it's falling behind. We're not happy about it. The other towns in the consortium and I have met personally with manager at Republic twice in the last 2 weeks to go over these issues, because we're all having the same problem. Again, it doesn't make it any better, other than we ask people to please be patient and to understand that we have a little issue going on post-pandemic here, which hopefully is gonna get resolved soon.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Any other discussion from the board members? Just to follow up again what Joe said, the town of Burlington has to rely on a third-party contractor. It's not that the town is lacking the drivers, it's a company that we rely on. They're the ones lacking drivers. So we're at their beck and call, I guess you could say. If they don't have the drivers, we can't provide the service, because they're not able to provide the service. So I think that's it. Anything else? All right,
I'm good, I'm good.
all right, Mr.
Thank you,
Sanchez,
John.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez.
Thank you, John.
Okay, item 177, update on reverse 911. Chief Patterson.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Tonight, I've been asked to speak about Code Red, our emergency alert notification system. So what I'm going to do is kind of give you a overview of the Code Red system and how it works, and hopefully there'll be some important information that the public will gather from this as well. So first of all, the town of Burlington has used Code Red as our emergency alert notification system since 2019. Code Red replaced Blackboard Connect as the town's notification system. This was something that police and fire actually worked together to make this happen. Many Massachusetts cities and towns use Code Red as their emergency notification system. So what does Code Red do? And just a brief summary, our public safety agencies can send out emergency notifications to our residents and local businesses regarding active threat incidents, missing persons, road closures due to motor vehicle accidents, hazardous material incidents, structure fires, water and sewer emergencies, as we've seen in the past week, and weather-related emergencies that impact our town, as we've seen today. Other town departments, such as the town clerk, Board of Health, Council on Aging, and Parks and Recreation, can send out general notifications to our residents and local businesses concerning non-emergency activities, such as voting information, hazardous waste day, and trash pickup information. So there are three main options in which the sender, meaning us, can use as far as sending notifications. Those three options are geographical maps. We can actually pick a section of the town in which we want to make notifications to. Contact groups is the second, in which, let's say I want to notify all my firefighters on group one. I can do that through a group contact. And then finally, the all-call is the one that we most commonly use, in which everybody that's in the database gets notification. So emergency notifications are sent to each device that is listed in Code Red's database. This includes home telephones, cell phones, email addresses, and text messages. General messages will go to the primary device that is chosen by the customer, meaning one device. A resident or business, and this is what's important, that really has to get out there. A resident or business will not automatically receive an emergency notification or a general notification if they have not personally signed up to receive Code Red's notifications. So that's the most important point here, is that For these last situations, if a person did not receive a notification, it's because their information wasn't included on the website's database. So in order for that to happen, they have to sign up for it. How do you sign up for it? So residents and businesses not currently signed up to receive Code Red notifications can do so through the town's webpage at burlington.org. You simply go on to the main page, you click on residents, you click on Code Red Emergency System, and then click on the enrollment icon. I went through that system myself today. It's a rather painless application in which you enter some basic contact information. Couple other things, if previously enrolled and you wish to change your contact information, for instance, you change your cell phone number or carrier or whatever, or you change your email address, you can simply go back into the town website, access the Code Red notification page, and make these changes yourself. Also, if you're previously enrolled and you wish to stop receiving notifications, you can choose to opt out of the system through the town's website. So like every software program that's out there, there are issues that we have to deal with. One of the issues that we've identified is that a Code Red message will have a caller ID that most people will not likely recognize. So if you're sitting at home and you get a message on your TV screen or your cell phone rings and you look at it, that number that you're seeing may not be recognizable to you. And because of that, you most likely may not answer it. As a matter of fact, you could go further and actually block that call if you so choose. So that's one of the issues that we see currently. For these situations, it's recommended that the users program the Code Red number into their cell phone contact lists. So if you got a message from us today, there's that phone number that's sitting there in your cell phone. And we would ask that you enter that number and associate it with Code Red in your cell phone. A couple other things about Code Red. When we send out a notification, the Code Red will send out the initial notification. If there are devices that have not responded or that hasn't connected, Code Red will automatically send a second message out to try to connect to that device. Interesting is that data is kept on every single notification that's sent out, and that's data that we can look at to see if the program is in fact doing what it's supposed to be doing. So moving forward in discussions with our IT, our Code Red database is going to be reviewed on an annual basis through the town's request. So we have to request our database to be reviewed on our behalf. And what happens is that devices that do not connect with the Code Red system can be purged from the database. The other thing is that there's, if you have multiple cell phones with the same number included in the database, it'll kick out all the duplicates, addresses, and phone numbers. So, I mean, we continue to work with the IT department anything associated with Code Red, and we work to resolve any issues that may occur. So that's just my brief narrative or update on Code Red. Any questions?
Thank you, Chief Passon. Any questions from the board?
No, but thank you very much, Chief, for that update.
Sure.
I actually learned a few things.
Yep.
I thought I was familiar with how that works, so
Yep.
thank you very much. Appreciate that.
I'll to be honest with you, it's not a system that we use a lot. You know, it's kind of, we have to refresh our own memories when we enter information into this or when we utilize this system. You know, one of the things that I learned that's of importance is the emergency. We can choose emergency notifications, or we can choose general message. So if we really want to get the message out to everybody in every device, we have to use emergency. In this situation, we use general. Last two notifications, we use general, meaning it's going to a primary number and not multiple numbers. So like I said, it's a learning experience anytime you use anything, so.
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of questions if I may.
Certainly. Mike, you all set?
I am. Thank you. Chief, thank you for that. I don't expect you to have all the answers to this. I'm just going to ask some questions, either from my own experiences or things that folks have called me about over the past
Sure.
week. So the time that we log that message to the time that it gets put out and calls start going out, do we know how much time elapses between the two?
So when we look at data, it will give us information on that. For instance, with the first E. coli message, the code red first initial message went out at 8:03 p.m. and then it ended at 8:28 p.m. that evening. So, you know, roughly a half an hour.
Okay.
You know, there were over 30,000 attempted calls.
Right.
So it takes a little bit of time.
Yeah.
For the entire.
Oh, for sure. And I know that with regard to the E. coli specifically, you know, we were working in hours, whereas the state DEP gives us 24 hours to notify residents. So I know that like our timetable was much smaller. I was just curious around that perspective. So I know that at least for me, some of the calls that come in from different numbers. And so when folks put a number into their contact list, are the phones smart enough, or is the system smart enough to engage its alternate numbers to ensure that folks are still being notified? Or are we going to have a situation where someone's going to log, you know, they're going to call and go, oh, this is my code red number. They're going to file it in their contacts. And then, you know, God forbid, 2 weeks later, we're going to put another one out. You know, it's a different number. It's not going to register.
So the code red uses two numbers. They use one number strictly for emergency type notifications, and they use a second number for non-emergency notifications. So those would be the numbers that would appear on someone's cell phone or someone's TV set.
Okay.
So
So then maybe, you know, Paul, you know, it might be wise of us to post those two numbers to the website and have folks particularly put them in their contacts list under the same contact. That way, no matter what, when folks get the call, it will always show up as code red. Because I know that, you know, from the perspective of, you know, one call coming as code red, one call coming in it's unknown, right? Folks are going to ignore, you know, maybe half of them.
no, we know that.
Something else that I was talking to Paul about is I'd like to maybe pose this question to the vendor. And again, this has happened to me, but you know, folks were asking about it, is that they got the call on their landline, but they didn't get the call on their cell phone.
Yeah.
Both numbers are registered. You know, and I mean, I know that like my wife's gotten a call and I haven't gotten a call, or my call will come in, you know, at the back end, which is fine.
Yeah.
But in the instance where numbers aren't being hit at all, my fear is from a system perspective that the system isn't doing its full job.
Yeah.
And, you know, where this is like our one place to notify all residents at once for sure, it concerns me. So I just want, I mean, and again, I'm not putting this on you.
Sure.
I'm just concerned that we're not getting the message out to everyone the way we could be.
Like I spoke on a little bit earlier, you know, we use the general notification for this past week where, like I said, we should use the emergency notification. So the emergency notification, once again, will hit home phones, cell phones, emails, even text, however you set it up. If you use the general notification, it's only going to go to that primary number, which could be your home house number,
Sure.
not your cell phone. So we have to do a better job on the town side to make the correct choices so the system can do what it's supposed to do.
Sure. And last question, and then I promise I'll shut up.
No problem.
When we moved from the Blackboard system to the Code Red system,
Yep.
did we migrate all the numbers over, or do folks have to go in and just double
Yep.
check?
So initially, all the numbers from Blackboard Connect were merged into the Code Red system.
Okay.
And then that data now was tested on at least 2 different occasions. So if that data, if there were numbers that weren't connecting, that data was purged.
Okay.
And that's something that we're gonna do on an annual basis forward.
Okay. Then I highly encourage any resident who is watching or might see this to, the town will do everything on its behalf to ensure that your number is correctly logged and being, notified when we send one of these messages out. But please go in and check that your information is entered correctly.
Yeah.
Your name, your phone numbers, and that way, when these calls go out, you are in fact getting them.
Sure. And the other thing I'd like to mention too is not everybody has a computer. In that type of situation, we'd ask that, maybe a family member or a friend can assist you signing into the system.
Sure. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
Any other questions from the board? All right. Thank you, Chief, for the update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, next item on the agenda is 178. That is being postponed. And 179, a community update on Help Us. That is also being postponed. Item 180 is a new public hearing regarding the renewal of cable television licenses. I'm looking for motion to open this public hearing as printed in the advertisement and ask the ad go into the record. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Good. Second? All right, so motion open the public hearing as printed in the advertisement. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500. Okay, Whitney, are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Yep.
Okay, great. I was having a little trouble with my WebEx audio, so I had to call in. Just to give you a little background, there are 2 agreements before you tonight. One is a license agreement and one is an INET maintenance agreement. And I'll just start by giving you a quick background on what both of those things are. So basically we have 3 cable providers operating in town. That's Comcast, RCN, and Verizon. Each provider has a license agreement with the town. These agreements typically run for about 10 years, and then a renewal has to be negotiated. So in regard to the license agreement, this is a 10-year agreement with Comcast that our special counsel, Bill Solomon, and I have been working for over a year to negotiate and make sure that the town is getting the best possible agreement. Just to summarize a couple main points of the agreement for the board. The agreement will cover the period of July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2031. We'll receive a franchise fee, 5% of gross annual revenue for PEG access support. So we receive the payments and we turn them over to our designee, which is BCAT, in order to operate PEG programming. This agreement includes capital payments of $315,000 paid installments over the course of those 10 years, and this is a $65,000 increase over previous agreements. It also includes the requirement that Comcast upgrade our 3 PEG channels from standard definition to stereo digital interface, and also, as you guys can back up a side letter for the Comcast to voluntarily provide a senior discount for financially eligible seniors. And then in regards to the second agreement, that's the INET maintenance agreement. INET is the institutional network, which is basically synonymous with our fiber. Through this agreement, the town will pay a yearly maintenance fee, it covers the network that Comcast built back in '97. And I should note that our special counsel, through his technical expertise, was able to negotiate a really very reasonable fee, and also add critical language regarding the end of useful life of the system as protection for the town. I think with that summary, I will turn it back over to the board for any questions.
Hey, any members of the board have any questions regarding the cable
No.
broadcast? No?
I would just like to, Whitney touched briefly on senior discount for those over 65. That kind of caught my eyes as I was scanning through that document. So just something for those folks at home over 65 to be aware of. Otherwise, it's fine.
Thank you, Whitney. We're gonna vote on something that we've discussed or read for maybe a couple of hours and discussed for a few minutes, but you've worked on this for over a year, so thank you for all your efforts with this. Just waiting for Mr. Hogan to see if he has any comment.
Mr. Chairman, could you ask for members of the public for comment as well, please?
Okay, did you have any comment?
We're working on something.
Okay, okay, well, this is a public hearing. Any members of the public would like to make any comment regarding this? Or discuss, have any questions? We have one in the audience. On up, Mr. McKelvey. And Chairman, sit at the table. Just identify yourself real quickly for the board.
Mr. Chairman, good evening. Kevin McKelvey, 4 Allison Drive, Burlington, Mass. Just a quick question. I heard Selectman Runyon talk about a discount, age 65 and over. For those people that are listening, or for those people who don't get the paper or read about it, could you explain what that is?
I couldn't, no.
I'll defer to
All I know is it's available to income eligible seniors. Whitney or Bill could, I'm sure.
Thank you.
elaborate on it.
Thank you, Mr. McKelvey. Whitney, can you touch upon that real quick?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to turn that over to our special counsel, Bill. I think he can explain it more completely than I can. So can you?
Good evening,
jump in?
members. Thank you. Bill Solomon, Special Cable Counsel. Yeah, the senior discount, as indicated by a board member, requires financial qualification. So age 65 years and older need to be the head of the household. And the income eligibility has been expanded from what it usually is to include supplemental Social Security, Medicaid or Mass Health, Mass Fuel Assistance. These are or, not each. And the final one, property tax, elderly asset and income abatement. And usually in towns, there are a number of people who qualify for that state tax abatement relief program. So if any senior 65 and older is qualified under any one of those standards, they would be eligible for the discount. It's not a large discount, it's $2, but it's voluntary. A company doesn't have to provide it. Verizon and RCN don't provide it. RCN is quite competitive. Verizon chooses as a competitor not to provide a discount. So Comcast voluntarily provides that. And it is the best discount in the state in terms of its eligibility criteria. And we worked hard at the end of the process to make sure we got the best discount available for Burlington and for the senior citizens.
Thank you, Mr. Solomon.
Quick question, maybe.
Yes, Mr. Hogan.
Mr. Solomon, is there someplace on the bill or someplace that people will be notified of who they contact and how they do this?
Great question. I think that's unfortunately a gap I think that exists. But what we can do is follows. I think we can write Comcast a letter. Kathy Maloney, there's no better government affairs manager than Ms. Maloney who handled this license for Comcast, and ask them if they would so notify residents by the bill and other means of the senior discount. Additionally, of course, the town could put it on its website and provide any information it likes through its means of communication. And the Access Corp can also put it on, BCAT can put it on BCAT public or even government channel. So if you like, Whitney and I would be happy to write Ms. Maloney that and ask her to.
Please, yes.
Sure.
And
Oh,
and would you just
take one
follow up
other
on that
item,
to
if I
make sure they
could,
do that?
Sure. And by the way, the town is very lucky to have Ms. Haskell. Her work and dedication and knowledge of getting into this over a long period of time, obviously, was really outstanding. It wasn't just a question of trying to get the job done. Whitney cared about the result and was a full partner in discussing the major issues, particularly as she mentioned the INET use agreement and provisions that made sure that the town would have the benefit of its bargain going forward. The only other item I'd add, and she did a great summary, was that when I came on, the INET agreement was a 5-year agreement. So after 5 years, you wouldn't have any institutional network. Your town couldn't operate. Whitney and I were able to get that extended to 10 years and could get, as she said, to get the cost reduced from $10,500 to about $7,100 with a COLA only after the first 5 years. So that was crucial for the town because you probably know better than I, particularly the town administrator, that the town can't and the schools can't function without that municipal fiber system. So now Burlington has that for 10 years going forward, the same term as the license and not simply 5. And the incremental increase in that was $20,000 for 5 years, which is a very small amount to pay for a fiber system as robust as Burlington has provided by Comcast.
Thank you, Mr. Solomon.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the public regarding this? Oh, I wish I'd known that. I'm gonna ask him again. No. Anybody out there?
Mr. Chairman, Arthur, the basic thing is he's gonna request that Comcast notify the Comcast clients. And I've asked Lynn to follow up to make sure that gets in there. So it's probably gonna be a lap time whenever the next bills go out, if he's efficient enough to get to them right now.
Okay, anybody else in the public want to comment to this, whether it's a public hearing? Nothing, all right, seeing that, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to close the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. 500 to close the public hearing. Now looking for a motion to approve the renewal of the cable television license. We have a specific motion for that, Mr. Hogan.
I have a question for Whitney before I start reading. Whitney, can I do these at the same time, or do they have to be done separately?
I would do them separately.
Okay. I hereby move that the board, as cable television license issuing authority, vote to approve and enter into the institutional network fiber use agreement dated this date, June 28th, 2021, with an effective date of July 1st, 2021.
Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Runyon. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500 on the first one.
The second one, I hereby move that the board, as cable television license issuing authority, vote as follows to grant the subject cable television renewal license with an effective date June 28th, 2021 to Comcast Cable Communications with an effective date July 1st. All terms and conditions contained in the renewal license have been agreed to by Comcast. Comcast, by and through its authorized representative, shall execute this renewal license agreement as set out on the signature page of the renewal license, and to recognize and acknowledge the senior citizen discount letter dated June 28th, 2021, and signed by Comcast Senior Manager of Government and Regulatory Affairs, Greg Franks.
Thank you, Mr. Hogan, second by Mr. Runyon. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, 500 to renew the cable contract for Comcast. Thank you, Whitney. Thank you, Mr. Solomon.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Okay, the next item on the agenda, 181, is a public hearing. We're looking to continue to probably July 12th, on or after 6:30.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Can I get a motion?
Make a motion to continue the public hearing for Bistro till July 12th on or around 6:30
On or after?
or after.
before.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of continuing the public hearing for Bacito Restaurant to July 12th, on or after 6:30 PM? Aye. Opposed, abstained, 500. Okay, the next item, 182, is a new public hearing. However, we're unable to hold this public hearing because there was an issue with the ad, the way it was posted. That ad is going to be corrected, and this item will be put on a later agenda. Anything else we have to do with that, Mr. Sagarino? Is that good? Nope. So we'll move to item 183, flagpole policy. We all got the updated draft. And I guess what we got to do is, it's been cleaned up a little. Town council's reviewed it. We do have one blank to fill. Mr. Priest did a lot of work with this, so I'll start with you. Do you have any discussion regarding this item?
Paul, I didn't catch the follow-up from the discussion with town council. Was there anything regarding the gazebo that was just an absolute no-go?
If you wanted to be able to control what type of flags were displayed.
And because that's property that is managed by the select board, what was the rationale for town council that we couldn't control the flags in that place?
Mr. Priest, I would have had her here if I knew you're gonna
Sorry.
get on that level. But
Okay.
town council's recommendation.
I think it had something to do with conveying a message or being a message from the town or something like that.
Can you speak up, please?
Sure, sure, we'll speak up.
I thought it had something to do with the safety of it being stolen.
That as well, that was another concern, but as far as legally being able to have the select board control it, so to speak, it would have been an issue to have them on the gazebo. I'm not sure of the particulars or why she said that, but I went back and forth to make sure that that was the case. So basically, the gazebo was out.
Okay. And then as a point of clarification, any flag that would be flown under the American flag, correct?
Always.
Always, not on the same pole.
No.
Well, we'll get to you, we'll get to you. We'll get to you.
Mr. Priest, I believe that the proposal was for a separate flagpole in front of the Youth and Family Services.
Family services, correct.
Yeah.
Fly a Burlington flag or another government flag on a regular day and be used if the board chooses to fly a different flag on those occasions.
Okay, that's where I was unclear. I wanted to clarify. Thank you.
So basically, the first item, third party, that we should probably say flagpole located at 33 Center Street, correct? Any discussion on that? Is that the location we want to discuss or put this?
I think that's the one we discussed, but
Okay.
we should hear from them too.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to hear from.
I just wanted to give us, the board, a chance to go through the policy, see what they think, if that's what we're all thinking. But anybody want to discuss anything, or are you willing to have the public come up?
I'd like to hear from everyone
Okay.
who turned out tonight.
Sure. Mr. Hannafin, come up to the table.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Chris Hannafin. I am the Burlington Veteran Service Officer, as well as the Allied Veterans Council Commander that has all four veteran service officers as representatives, as well as the Veteran of Foreign Wars Commander here in the town of Burlington. I first want to emphatically say that since I have been in this position for 6 years, this board and the town has had the utmost respect and support for veterans. And I've yet to run into an issue where the town hasn't been at the utmost support. So I'm going to read a statement here, and I hope this emphasizes the position of my office, the Allied Veterans Council, but there are going to be representatives from the other veteran service offices that are probably going to speak on this. So I understand that there is multiple levels of discussion at the town, state, and national level in regards to our American flag, as it stands for and how it should be displayed and treated. These discussions have been initiated by special interest groups that want a platform or area to display their flag, insignia, or propaganda, and want that area to be as prominent as the display of the American flag. It was proposed that I state my opinion on the town's new course of action in establishing guidelines for flags, including those that are not governmental flags in nature. It's with some hesitancy, but great pride, that I get to address your body as a representative of the veterans population of the town of Burlington with respect to those recent discussions and changes to the town's flag policy and procedures. I want to emphasize that I've been in lengthy communications with many veterans in town, and I can confidently say that although I am stating the opinion of most veterans in town, it does not represent all veterans. As the Burlington Veteran Service Officer, commander of both the Allied Veterans Council and the Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 7423, as well as the active member in the American Legion and Disabled American Veterans and the Marine Corps League, the realities that I'm about to lay out are both of my opinion and those that I represent in those organizations. First, it was with the aid and perseverance of veteran service organizations, particularly the American Legion and the VFW, that on June 22nd, 1942, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed the Federal Flag Code, which led to Congress enactment on December 22nd, 1942. The Flag Code is very specific into the manner in which the flag is to be presented and treated. As stated, the U.S. Flag Code, the American flag is to be presented in the place of honor and with no other flag or insignia equal to its height or stature. This point is being made to emphasize the matter that any flag policy and/or display of non-governmental flags should abide by the rules and regulations of the United States Flag Code. Second, as stated by the Flag Code, the flag of the United States of America is universally representative of the principles of justice, liberty, and democracy enjoyed by all the people of the United States, and all over the world recognizes the flag of the United States as the symbolic of the United States and its values. The flag universally stands for freedom, sacrifice, and justice for all. It doesn't just mean those things for veterans, but every citizen of the United States. The American flag was flown behind Dr. Martin Luther King at every civil rights rally in March in the 1960s. It was flown continuously by the citizens of Hong Kong during demonstrations and protests against the Communist Party of China over this past summer, to exhibit their hope and desire to emulate a country of the very ideals in which the American flag represents. The American flag was placed on the moon by Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin on July 20th, 1969, with the inscription fixed to the lunar module that read, "Here men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon on July 1969. We came in peace for all mankind." No other flags from any other country have been placed on the moon. Third, the American flag holds a special place in every veteran and veteran's family's heart, mind, and soul. It is worn in the uniform of almost every military branch in this country. It is flown on every military base, forward operating base, embassy, aircraft, and ship that are operated by the U.S. servicemen and women. It is flown in cemeteries across the nation as well as in foreign countries where American men and women are laid to rest, where they fought and died to defend the very ideologies that the American flag stands for. As stated in our most recent Memorial Day message about the war in Afghanistan, 2,216 men and women and families gathered around the casket or an urn as they watched the members of their fallen loved ones' service perfectly fold an American flag and had a military member say these words: "On behalf of the President of the United States Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, or Coast Guard, and a grateful nation, please accept this flag as a symbol of our appreciation for your loved ones' honorable and faithful service." Those family members were handed that flag as a reminder of their times that the loved ones stood in school and said the Pledge of Allegiance. Finally, those loved ones are handed the very flag that had been so meticulously wrapped atop their loved one's coffin as it was loaded onto a plane in Afghanistan, the last place they took a breath, and it was flown home. The way the flag is presented and treated is something that is very serious to the veterans and military community. I bring these facts up to try to demonstrate the position of the veterans community with regard to the American flag, what it represents to them, and also their stance on non-governmental flags receiving positions or prominence of honor on display on government property. Special interest groups around this nation and abroad are attacking the flag and mocking its traditions. Groups are burning the flag out of demonstration. Groups are actively trying to remove the flag from our schools and suing governments for saying the Pledge of Allegiance before government meetings and the start of a school day. Olympic athletes of this country are refusing to stand for the playing of the national anthem and putting towels over their head in protest to the flag and the anthem. One Olympic athlete has come out and stated if they win an Olympic medal at the Tokyo Games, they will burn the American flag on the podium. To pretend that there aren't movements being made to remove the American flag from its position of prominence on our common would be naive and imprudent. This latest measure to provide a governmental-owned piece of land, as well as using tax-paying dollars to provide a flagpole to fly a non-governmental flag, is a slippery slope. The funds that paid for the current flags and the monuments being flown on the veterans section on the common and elsewhere in the town were privately raised. Not a single tax-paying dollar was used to purchase, plan, or install those flags or monuments. What message are you saying to those veterans that raised those funds the right way? If you approve tax-paying funds to install a flagpole for special interest groups to fly their non-governmental flags. More importantly, what are you saying to those families and loved ones that lost their mother or father, son or daughter, brother or sister, which made the ultimate sacrifice to this nation and this community, and were memorialized by private funds, but other special interest groups are getting tax-paying dollars for their platform? It's not far-fetched to think that raising even one non-governmental flag on town property will have a controversial effect. Who is going to determine what cause is or what is and not a just cause? A policy that deviates from the current policy is going to open the town up for liability and lawsuits, which in turn will cost tax-paying dollars. It is the opinion of most of the veterans that I've spoken to that the American flag encompasses the very symbolism that any good-meaning special interest group is trying to portray with the flying of their own flag. The flag stands for freedom, justice, and equal rights for all. And that is all the town should need to represent those values to all of its citizens.
Thank you, Mr. Hanson. Is that it? All right, who else wants to speak on this? Arthur. I can't see who's behind you. Oh, Kevin. All right. Kevin, you're next. Just state your name for the record, sir.
My name's Art Enos. I live in Seven Springs Lane in Burlington. I'm also the Commandant of the Burlington Marine Corps League. I also was part of the process that put all these flags on the veteran section of the Common. When I did so, we amassed all the veterans monuments, the flags, everything else, and brought them to a portion of the Common that at that point was totally unused. It was told to me at that time by the board that was here that was going to be designated a veteran section of the Common. And as such, the only flags that should fly in that area are the American flag.
Arthur, just show you where there's no plan to put anything over there.
Excuse me, sir?
There's no plan to put anything over there.
I'm just bringing up a point for what plans do. I just got back from Florida and did not see your outline of what you want for the flag policies. But I'm just trying to make a point right now that when you go down this road of all these other flags, situations are going to be presented. And before you make any policy, you better be sure that that's not going to be disturbed. Because I think at that point, you'll have an awful fight on your hands.
Well, I can speak for myself. I said, I know, I personally said we would never put anything over there. That's going to stay the way it is.
All right, not only that, but all your town playgrounds and so forth, we've been striving for the past 15 years or so, I think it's been, to put the American flag pole in those sections as well, because they should be there according to all standards. we've been responsible, the Veterans Group, of buying and paying for all of that. So I think we should have a definite say in those areas before any flags are put there in deference to the American flag and or the service flag. And I know from speaking to, I've been in this town for 55, 60 years now. I know many of the people in the town, and I think you would have one heck of a fight if you start presenting flags all over the city, all over the town rather, in various places. So unless you put this out for a vote to the community, I think you're going to have a big problem in your hands. I have not seen your document. I don't know exactly what you are trying to do, but I'm here just to preface it by saying from a veteran standpoint and from many, many, many citizens in this town, that's a very slippery slide that you're getting into. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Enos. Mr. McKelvey?
Chairman, members of the board, Kevin McKelvey, 4 Allison Drive, Burlington, Mass. Just like to hold a symbol of what we hold dear. And I'd ask you to, for a moment, keep in mind what you probably are thinking about when you see this flag on a slant. And I hope it's the 6 Marines raising the flag on Mount Sarabushi. What it meant to them and what it meant to our country. I'm appearing tonight as a private citizen, and I'm also appearing as the Disabled Americans Organization delegate to the Allied Veterans Council. It was a long presentation, but in the interest of time, if I may, I'll just read part of it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Take down the American flag, you ask? Never. Not for a day, not for a minute. The American flag is something sacred, patriotic symbol for all Americans, a symbol of hope and refuge. The American flag is more than a piece of cloth. It represents our freedom that was paid for by the blood of thousands and thousands of brave men and women who fought to raise, defend, and protect it. Many did so with their lives under fierce combat and grueling conditions on land and sea. More than ever, our country and all of us desperately needs strong, patriotic voices to stand up for Old Glory. It represents so much of what America means. Take the American flag down is to rip open the wounds of veterans who fought for it and question why they were so ready to die for it. The men and women of William Hurley Chapter 113 Disabled American Veterans are passionately opposed to any effort to take down our American flag at any time. We stand ready to join ranks with our comrades in defending and protecting Old Glory, whatever the cost. Mr. Chairman and members of the board, absent seeing a copy of your flag policy, I'm at a disadvantage to comment on it specifically. But I believe the words that I endeavored to impart to you this evening are the words of so many aging veterans and returning veterans to Burlington, who, if they ever caught wind of the fact that the flag was going to be removed, was going to be taken down, was going to be temporarily replaced, it raises grave questions in their mind. And it's very disturbing.
Mr. McKelvey, just clarification, there is absolutely no intention of removing a single American flag. There's no intention of touching anything on the common. That's not part of this. We're not even discussing taking down any flags. We're not gonna, to me, as my father was a disabled veteran from World War II, that area is pristine. That area, common is not getting touched, just so we're all on the same page. Nothing is going on the common. We've thought about the gazebo because it might have, been easier that day. Just so we're all we have the facts. No flag is coming down.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you.
There are no funds being spent either for these other flags.
To answer that question, Arthur, what we did is we ran this by town council. Town council said that the only way the select board can maintain 100% control is if the town purchases it and maintains it. That's the only way we can control it. If a private interest group provides funds for it, we lose that control. We lose our say. That's why we have to do it this way. That's what our town council has told us. In order to keep this in your control, this has to be done.
The poll.
You didn't provide the funds for any of these polls or flags.
Right, and I can't answer to that. All I'm saying is, in order for us to control this poll, if it goes through, we would have to provide the funds in order to keep it under the select board. For approval, denial, whatever. That's what town council is telling us.
Town council or town meeting?
Town council, an attorney. Mr. Sadler, am I correct on that? I just want to make sure I don't say anything that's not true.
Yes, as I recall it. So Leon on the.
This is town council who gave us this opinion and said, in order for you to control it, if you ever want a policy to control it, and what goes up, what doesn't go up, to approve or deny, you have to provide the funds, and it has to be basically on a part of to the town campus. Nothing is going on the common. So I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. We're not touching the common.
I don't see why the fund should be there if it wasn't there for us.
I can't answer what happened when that happened, when that was done.
What happens even now? Half your
Well,
fields don't have poles right now. You go.
I understand, but
Flag poles up.
we don't want to lose control of, if we pass this, we don't want to lose control of approval or denial. And that's the only way we can retain it. Mr. McDonald. Just identify for the board.
Yes, my name is Arthur McDonald. I live in Burlington, Mass. My son was the only casualty in the Afghan-Iraq war. I have a picture of my son on his armored vehicle with a flag overhead. And my only thought is, he died under that flag. That flag is very emotional to me, to the point that I defend it any way I have to, and I'm not adverse to saying anyway. I think what's important, I think Mr. Hannafin gave an excellent talk. He cited the laws enacted in 1943. Now it sounds like we're working a way around it, because we're going to, no reflection on legal counsel, but we're going to legal counsel to give us an opinion. There is no opinion. The federal law is specific. You only fly American flags on property owned by the government, any government, city, town, state. You saw what happened in the South. They were flying Confederate flags for years. And all of a sudden, they came down in one fell swoop. One case before the Supreme Court didn't even get that far. The law was emphatic. You don't fly Confederate flags on public property. You don't compromise putting cultural flags on state or town property. If people want to put up cultural flags, they put them on their own property. There's no way we can stop that. If you go down my street Almost every single house now has a flag. Right? And that's only come up in the last, since my son died. Everybody, practically everyone flies a flag. You don't see any other flags under the American flag except a Marine flag, and that's authorized. I think the Board of Selectmen has to just say flat out, no. No discussions, no compromises, no opinions from the legal aspects of the town. We do not fly anything but approved federal flags on town property. The discussion is over. We don't have to go any further. People aren't going to have a way around it if we don't give them an opportunity to say, well, you submit your proposal. It's emphatically clear by federal law. There's no flags flown but the American flags. And if you go beyond that, then you're going to get every other special interest group that's going to try to do it. Take a look at what just happened in Burlington. We used to have a Pride Day. Why don't we have a Pride Day anymore? Because there's a connotation now in that statement, which isn't fair, but it's no longer called Pride Day. There's another instance of where government shifts to accommodate what's comfortable. You can't do that. There's nothing comfortable when an organization comes up to you and says, I want to use your flagpole. Nothing comfortable about that, and you got to remember that. If anyone sitting here on this board is not a selectman, is not a veteran, then the empathy of how we feel just doesn't go strong enough. And I apologize to you for that. But I know that my passion for that flag goes beyond words. And I don't think there are many in this room that can say that. So I'm asking you to table anything to do with any organization requesting the use of town property or a town flagpole to put this symbol up. Just flat out no. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Anybody else want to speak on this? Steve, just come up and ask one. Make it quick. Just identify yourself for the board.
Sure. I'm Steve Dupuy, 5 Sleeper Drive, and I am presently the commander of the American Legion Post 273, and I'm also the senior vice commander of the Allied Veterans Council. Can you hear me now? Can everybody hear me?
We can, I don't think.
Can you hear me? Good. I just want to read a letter that I drafted up from the American Legion Post. And it's basically the subject is proposed flag placement for special interest groups. And on behalf of the veterans of the American Legion Post 273, we would like to state our position on a proposed action that would place a new flagpole on town property. We are not in favor of such action. We do not believe that any flagpole should be erected utilizing town money or assets. And I think we kind of beat a dead horse as far as all these beautiful veteran flags that we have came from private funds and raised funds. The new flagpoles erected celebrating the 5 services were purchased and paid for by the different town veterans organizations and fundraising activities. The only flags that should be purchased and are provided by town finances should be the American, Commonwealth, and a town flag. There are numerous occasions as to when the American flag should be flown at half-mast. These recent months it has become almost a normalcy for the American flag to fly at half-mast in honor of military personnel, elected officials, and citizens who have died. It seems every week we have to put the flag back to half-mast, and I do it for the post, so it feels like I'm doing it every single week. It is proper custom and courtesy that no other flag shall fly higher than that of the American flag. The 5 services flags, POW, MIA, and Commonwealth flags follow within these guidelines of these courtesies. It is our belief that these previously stated flags represent all Americans. We caution any town entity to authorize a special interest group to fly a flag because where does it stop? How do you differentiate between what is authorized and what is not authorized? just sitting here tonight, there seems to be a little bit of confusion with everybody as to what the heck we're doing with the flag policy. For us as veterans, I mean, when you go to basic training or boot camp, you learn about proper customs and courtesies. We know what to do with an American flag. This isn't about veterans and non-veterans. This is about all Americans. You know what I mean? We firmly believe that, and I'll finish up with this, is that from the American Legion, our position is not meant to divide. It is meant to unite all Americans under a flag that holds the interest of all Americans. Those that fight and die to promote the safety and prosperity of all Americans falls under previously stated flags, which is the Commonwealth, the United States flag, the POW/MIA flag. The United States military is made up of patriotic and diverse Americans, regardless of religion, race, creed, gender, and sexual orientation. We firmly oppose any special interest flag being flown on town property. Thank you for your consideration. Stephen Dupuy, Commander, American Legion Post 273.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Any other members in present that want to speak? Yes, sir. I don't know your name. Come up and identify yourself.
Thank you. My name is Philip Nowlin. I'm the commander of the Post 113, Burlington DAV. I live in Tewksbury, but I'd like to have the opportunity to give a little bit of quick feeling. I'm sitting here and I can't leave this room without saying this. I respect Burlington. I love Burlington. I wouldn't be involved with Burlington if I didn't. Sitting here watching us talking about the United States American flag, while we are in this room, the guidelines and restrictions and so forth by the government on how to display the American flag, those two flags are incorrect. American flag should be on that side, the state flag should be on that side. I just thought I'd let you know. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna ask you if there's anybody out in the public that wants to comment on this. Ed, come on up. Just identify yourself for the board.
Yeah. Hold on.
Thank you. First of all, my name is Edward Tedesco. I'm the past commander twice from the Disabled Veterans here in Burlington.
Speak up a little.
And I'm very proud to say that's a position that made me feel very well in my heart. But before I go that far, I want to tell you when I was a young kid going into the service, and I remember when we graduated, we all marched with the flag. And the one thing I noticed is that the only flag that didn't get tilted forward was the United States flag. All the other flags got tilted, the American flag did not, which basically means we do not bow to anybody else. No country, ever. But I want to say that I'm proud of you gentlemen here tonight. I'm glad that you're here. And I want to say that I'm very proud to be a veteran and be a Burlington resident. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jesco. Hey, anybody out in the Zoom or WebEx that wants to say anything? Any citizen question or comment? Before I turn it over to the board? Nothing? Okay, who would like to start? Nick, you wanna?
Yeah, I don't mind starting.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you to everyone who came tonight and spoke. The intent of this was never to subjugate or shine any light poorly on the American flag. I respect the flag behind me, even though it should be over there. Thank you for pointing that out. Beyond words. And Mr. McDonald, I don't understand what it means to be a veteran to have served. So I understand that there is a natural difference in my understanding of the flag versus anyone who has served. And I'll never be able to be in your shoes. And I thank anyone who has served for their service. The intent of this policy was to find a home for the people of this community to find a way to express themselves, whether it be the Indian Americans for Burlington or, I mean, gosh, we could put the Italian flag up, the Irish flag. I mean, it could be a number of things. Mr. Enos, to your point, I think when you have boards that rotate, you find yourself in positions where, and I don't want to speak for this entire board, but I feel as though we would have funded everything on the common. I don't believe that the veterans should have had to have raised money. I believe the taxpayer dollars should have been there for you.
But it wasn't.
It wasn't. You're absolutely right. It should have been, in my opinion.
I don't feel like I want to see 15 flags behind you paid for by taxpayers like myself.
And I 100% agree with that.
Really focus on whether you want to continue on this path.
Absolutely. And again, the intent of this particular policy was to erect a single flagpole that would fly the Burlington flag, unless it was occupied by another, Mr. McDonald, to your point, a cultural flag. With all of that being said, however, and having been one of the folks here who brought this forth, I don't know if I can support this anymore. If it's on government property, and Mr. McDonald, your words rang true for me, then there are one of only several flags that should be flying on it. And that if we're going to try and find a way to help community members express themselves, we need to do it in a different way.
They do it on their own homes.
Their own homes, if they choose to, have an event on the common, I'm not saying that we're going to raise flags, but, we'll have to figure that out. But after hearing everyone speak tonight, I don't know if I can support this own policy that I brought forward. It's, you're right, it is a slippery slope. And it began with researching other communities in Massachusetts who were doing similar things. But as this board changes, so too does the discretion of the people on it. And therein lies the slippery slope of who can and cannot use the aforementioned poll. So with that, I will most likely not be supporting this evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chris, hold on one second. Gentlemen, do you think we need to discuss this further, or should we?
Oh, I think we should just postpone it.
No.
All right,
Please, please.
hold on. Please, just be civil, please.
That's just my opinion. We should.
Right. Anybody else want anything to say before I have anything? Yeah, Bob?
Yeah. This was never about the US flag. We haven't made a decision. We've talked about a location on the property next door on a flagpole that is shorter than the US flag that we would fly. No one has ever said anything about taking down an American flag to put up a cultural flag. There is no policy yet, other than the things we've said tonight, that there is nothing going on the common, especially the section up here. And to Art's point about the flags and the monuments over there, Art justifiably didn't want to wait for the town. We would have had to have waited almost 6 more months before town meeting could have approved it. And it was something that Art and the Marine Corps League and the Allied Veterans wanted to do. And to his credit, Art took the bull by the horns and made it happen. Would the town have approved it? I don't know if they would have approved it to the amount that Art raised. It's a fantastic monument to the veterans, but this was never about the American flag, the US flag. It was just trying to do something nice for the population of Burlington. that had nothing to do with the US flag. So I think just continuing the conversation, I think, works for me. If the rest of the members decide otherwise, that's fine too. But I just want people to know that not everything that was said here tonight is accurate, and I just think everybody should know that. That's all. Thank you.
Hold on, I'm with the board, I'm with the board right now. Michael,
Nothing.
Joe, anything?
Yeah, real quick, listen, I've never been in favor of the flagpole to begin with. I've learned a long time ago this would cause us all kinds of problems, whether we have a policy or not have a policy. So you can go postpone it till whenever we can vote on it tonight. I'm gonna be a no vote, whichever way it goes.
Mr. Hannafin, you had your hand up first.
To Bob's point, to everybody else's point.
Correct. Chris, can you just come up?
Yeah, certainly. I do want to make the point that in my beginning statement, I don't feel like anybody on the board was trying to take down the American flag. The point of my speech was the understanding
Chris,
that.
I read it and I thought it was fabulous. It was a good piece of work you did. If you haven't downloaded it, you should do that.
The issue that we as veterans have, and me as a citizen has, is that we're making an emphasis to put a flagpole over there on that property when there are pieces of property in this town that aren't represented by the flag. And one of those would be Marshall Simons Middle School, the turf field. And one of the proudest moments of my life prior to going into the military was hearing the national anthem being played at the beginning of a varsity sport. And to be standing there in front of the crowd, your hand over your heart, with your helmet off. And we can't do that at certain fields. And there are varsity sports that are played at that field because there isn't a flag present. And the point of this is that we're prioritizing things in the wrong order. On top of the fact that I do believe that this is a slippery slope. And to think that there isn't a national issue right now with patriotism, with the emphasis on removing the flag, and I'm not saying it's here in this town, but it could be coming here very shortly. And so if we don't take a stand now, when do we take it?
Thank you, Chris. Yes, Mr.
And shame on me for not knowing that there wasn't a flag down at the Marshall Simons Middle School. But why don't we make a list? Why don't we order flags
And so we do have a list, and I want to be clear on this aspect as well. Is I don't want it to come across as if the veterans are complaining that we need to raise our own funds. It is a point of pride that we do so, and we emphatically want to continue to do so, and we do have a list. And these are things that we discuss at the Allied Veterans Council. But this obviously came up prior to that. And so that's why we're having this conversation right now.
Can you at some point provide us with that list?
Certainly.
I was unaware of Marshall Simons as well.
There used to be one, and there used to be a beautiful scoreboard too, but that is no longer there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chris, I ask you a quick question. I'm not, it's the way that my life went. Why are they backwards? I didn't hear them.
Well, I can tell you.
Ask Chris the question, but thank you.
Based off of the position that it's on right now, they are the position of honor, and that is backwards. According to the United States Flag Code, the flag should be presented to the right of the presenter. So because you are the presenters facing forward, the flag should be at the position of honor to your right behind you.
I didn't know. I had no idea. I wanted to know.
Believe it or not, you can go around monuments throughout the entire state, and you will find permanent monuments that are of.
A little bit tonight. Arthur, did you want to comment anything we haven't already discussed?
Yes, I want to.
All right, come on up then.
Thank you, Chris.
To Mr. Hogan's point of postponing it for another time, it can't be done. It's a federal law. That should be the end of any discussion or any attempt by any organization to supersede the federal law. If you read about what's been happening down south, they've taken down all the Confederate flags. There's no town fighting it. There's no organization fighting it. The government has said you can't fly a Confederate flag on public property. They didn't say you can't fly an Irish flag. Try to find an Irish flag in the South. Try to find any cultural flag on a public building. They don't have them because the federal government stomped out. Any attempt by the town to allow a cultural organization to put up a flag on town property could easily end up in court. There's no, and I think legal counsel can say that because we got a precedent. The federal government has established a precedent. There's nowhere in this country do they allow cultural flags on public property. And that's what it comes down to.
Right.
A lot of places are ignoring it. We know that. I mean, you can go around and you can see Irish flags and Polish flags flying in some cultural sections of towns, but no one has challenged it. So why should Burlington get involved in someone challenging a cultural flag and then the diversity that this town has established, it's going to go down the drain. So if you say no to everybody, then cultural diversity remains intact. And I think that's the important point. Don't let anyone raise it again. And that keeps cultural diversity intact.
Okay, thank you, Arthur. Anybody else from the board have anything they want to discuss? Is there a motion to approve or deny, or do we have anything, or do we want to postpone? Do we want to,
I'll make a motion to deny the flagpole.
do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor of denying the flagpole? Aye.
Aye.
The motion is denied. There will be no flagpole, no flag policy. Gentlemen, I want to thank you because you've opened my eyes up to a lot of things that I wasn't aware of. And Arthur, I don't know what the story is with the federal law, but based on a potential conflict, I think it's something we shouldn't be challenging right now. And I just wanted to thank you all for coming out. And what else can I say?
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening. All right, gentlemen, next item. Approval of minutes. Everybody got the minutes for May 24th and June 14th? Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for May 24th, 2021, regular meeting.
Okay.
Second.
We doing both or?
Want to do both of them? Is
Yeah,
that okay with you?
both, if you could, Joe.
I'd like to do a regular meeting 2021.
Okay, second by Mr.
Second.
Priest. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained, 5-0. Any subcommittee reports? Michael, I'll start with you about, I guess, 4th of July.
I've got something else as well.
All right.
Chairman, I've got two items.
Let's hear it.
The first thing I want to sort of circle back to what some of you guys commented on earlier when Mr. Sanchez was here. I felt pretty strongly about what was going on a week ago, and I just wanted to sort of elaborate on that. Social media is a wonderful way to share information and stay in touch with friends and family when used appropriately. Unfortunately, some people feel emboldened from behind their computer to spread falsehoods and fan the flames of misinformation. Last week was a good example of this when a faulty lab test was responsible for an avalanche of unwarranted criticism of our DPW superintendent and other officials. Rants and raves filled the pages of Facebook and the inbox of my email account. Words have meaning, and when used irresponsibly by uninformed busybodies, it only causes further confusion. To the woman who can't wait to sell her house and move to New Hampshire, I say, good, don't let the door hit you in the ass. I want to say tonight that I have all the confidence in the world in John Sanchez and the men and women who work for our Department of Public Works. John is a man of integrity and truth who gives 100% day in and day out for the residents of Burlington, and he deserves better. On a happier note, 4th of July, rain or shine, Sunday, 11 a.m. from Pine Glen School to Marshall Simons. I think we're going to have an interesting array of people and vehicles. The theme is tribute to our heroes, and we're talking about our healthcare providers, our first responders, and essential workers. I know Leahy Hospital is going to be there with 3 or 4 caravans of their doctors, nurses, and other employees. Police Department will be led by our Outstanding Citizen of the Year, retiring Chief Kent. Fire Department should have a large presence as well. And we've got some other sort of hodgepodge of traditional 4th of July pieces, as well as some rather unusual pieces. So we're trying to make it as interesting as we possibly can. So again, rain or shine, Sunday, July 4th, 11 a.m. We hope to see you out there, and we hope, and I would like to encourage the folks along the route to make some thank you signs for these folks who we're going to be paying tribute to on the 4th. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Runyon. Mr. Morandi?
Nothing.
Nothing? Can't follow up with that, huh?
I can't follow that one.
Mr. Priest?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just want to actually thank the board for its vote last meeting for ISAC's cybersecurity policy. They met last Monday.
And they are working to kind of get it up on its feet. And so I'm sure that we'll be hearing more from them with that regard. For anyone who hasn't seen the posts on Facebook, the Sculpture Park Committee, we've had an artist out there building stone granite benches. So if you get a chance to get down to the Sculpture Park next to the police station, you have a place to sit now. There are, I believe, 3 of them. It was pretty neat to watch. I know some of the Boy Scouts went down and folks were down there watching, and it was a very cool thing. Otherwise, I will be with Selectman Runyon on the 4th, at Pine Glen, and encourage everybody to get out, rain or shine, and get the celebrations back after a year of kind of being trapped in our houses and away from everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
The route. Tell everybody the route. Pine Glen School, Cambridge Street, Wynn Street, terminating at Montrose Primary Middle School.
Thank you. Mr. Hogan, anything? Okay, I got nothing else. Mr. Sagarino?
Just a couple things, Mr. Chairman. Obviously, first off, with the heat, you may have heard it's hot out there. We've opened up a cooling center at the Human Services Building. What plan is right now to have it open from Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 8:30 in the evening. So we have some volunteers from the Board of Health staffing after hours. So if anybody's needs to cool off, please do come down. We haven't had a lot of people attend when we've done this in the past, so we'll have to sort of see how it works out this time. And probably the next thing I want to mention, Mr. Chairman, is due to the efforts of Melissa Tatakos, our Economic Development Director, Tom Hayes, Town Engineer, and a variety of businesses in the Northwest Park area, we're hopeful to have service restored on the MBTA 351 bus. So we had to work with the MBTA to find a layover location for the bus, and wasn't easy, but we were able to come up with something that we'll hopefully be bringing to the board at your next meeting.
That it? Yes. All right. You have something, Joe? Oh, just real quick, the follow-up to what you said about the Board of Health. First, we underappreciate the Board of Health and our Health Department, because they've been dealing with COVID, nonstop for 15 months. Then they jump into 2 water issues, and now they're dealing with the heat. So hats off to the Board of Health and the Health Department, because they are doing an unbelievable job for the residents in this town. So just wanted to thank them publicly. That being said, citizens time. Anybody for citizens time?
No hands.
Okay, that being the case, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second? Motion and second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, 5-0.